Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another podcast, Inside Polling. It's great to have everyone back. Thank you for all the comments. I know everybody wanted to get back on this podcast. We've got 21 days before this election. And by the way, welcome all the YouTubers. First episode on YouTube. We can't wait to have you on the show. Looking forward to your comments. Please add us. We think we're going to get a lot out of this show and why. We do things so differently than any other show. Why are we so popular on X? Why are we one of the hottest podcasters out there? It's very simple. We do things completely different than everybody else. If you're a right-wing MAGA supporter, only listen to Fox and every other poll that comes out is fake news, or if you're an MSNBC, CNN listener and you feel that there's the Bible, this is not the show for you. We're for the independent voter who's looking for the truth, looking for the facts of where the race is going, where it's been, where it is today, but most importantly, where is the momentum going, right? Isn't that what we're all interested in? We got 21 days. Does it really matter where we were a week ago? No. It matters where we go. And how do we figure that out? It's super confusing when you think about, you hear about an ABC poll on Monday, you hear about a Quinnipiac poll on a Tuesday, you hear about a CNN poll on Wednesday, and they're so different. Oh my gosh, I thought the lead was this, and now it's that. There's only one way to do it. There's only one way to do it. Stay on top of the polls, but most importantly, compare the same poll. Let's take an ABC poll and compare it to the last ABC poll. What's the change? They're basically interviewing the same exact people. Their processes are the same. So most importantly is let's find out where that poll has been and where it is today. And we'll do that for every single poll. And I think you'll get a good feeling about where we are, what's happening, and who has the momentum with 21 days to go. And is there still movement to be made? Sure there is. Sure there is. Put yourself in the Harris camp now, right? I mean, the Harris campaign right now is sitting there saying, hey, I've been down by 4 points when we first took this thing over, right? Trump had a 4-point advantage. 4-point advantage in the popular vote. Popular vote. Countrywide. Harris takes over. It was like a cork going off for the Democrats. It was an explosion of excitement. The press was into it. The Democrats were into it. Independents were into it. Her strengths with black voters, with women voters, with young voters, with an issue with like an abortion is important for that demographic for the Democrats. This is your candidate. Trump gets caught completely flat-footed, who had been running an incredible campaign up to that point. He had hired 2 veteran campaigners who are respected on both sides of the aisle, by the way. Anybody would be thrilled to have them and has been listening to them pretty much as Trump can, of course. And Trump goes from a 4-point lead to a 4-point deficit almost overnight, matter of probably 2-3 weeks. So now you think about that, an 8-point swing. What happens next? The Trump campaign has to get their act together. The Harris campaign decides we're going to sit back and be quiet here. I don't think we have to do too much. Does that ever work in politics? Can that backfire? It can. And I think it kind of did. The Trump campaign went negative ads, started doing massive amount of podcasts for the young voters. And for you YouTube viewers, these 20 to 30-year-old podcasts are where the numbers are. They blow CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS numbers by 2 to 1 to 5 to 1 to 10 to 1 to 51 to 101. We're talking about 50 million people can watch a podcast in 24 hours, and maybe 4 million people saw it on ABC. It's where the future's going. Trump takes a risk and goes that direction, goes after the young black voter, and Harris sits back a little bit. Okay, so the 4-point gain goes to about 2 points. Well, what happens next? The debate. Harris demolishes Trump in the debate. I think everybody can agree upon that. The numbers go from 2 to 4 again. Now, we're just talking, a month ago or so? So now you're sitting there with less than 2 months to go, Harris with a 4-point lead again. So you probably start to think, can Trump come back from that number? That's unknown. So what do? They continue what they do. They decide not to debate Harris again, and I think they learned from the first time around, if we just sit back, let Harris maybe make a few mistakes, which you do on a campaign trail. Every candidate does. It's super natural, but also makes for great negative ads. So Trump campaigns around the country, sticks to his message, goes back to immigration, goes back to Harris mistakes, try to join Biden and Harris together, and Harris sits back, starts to do some interviews, knowing that that's where getting some heat, even from the left side, even from the press. Hey, why are you not doing any interviews? Does some interviews, makes a couple of mistakes. Not major mistakes, minor mistakes. Make great ads. And in today's world, minor mistakes get blown up tremendously with social media. So it's kind of where we've been. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Who would ever believe it? So now, where are we today? So I'm going to take you through Harris versus Trump polls, probably taking you back to about October 1st. Then I'm going to take you to the battleground states. And remember, there's only 7 battlegrounds. Hate to, for the rest of the 43 of us, it doesn't. I'm in Connecticut, super liberal state. I know it's going to go Democrat already, right? So everybody's vote matters. But of course, in the presidential election, 7 states really matter. So we're going to walk through each one of those. And by the way, we're going to do this daily. Tomorrow, I'm going to take you to the 270 electoral votes. We're going to take you to the map. And we're going to go state by state and look at the different scenarios and the different options that are out there. Who can win what states? Who can lose certain states? And then who has to win certain states? And that's going to be interesting. It's the race to 270. So remember, we've got the blue wall. What's the blue wall? Just to remind everybody, it's Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Those are the 3 blue wall states that Hillary, some would say, took for granted, thought that would always be on the Democratic side. It is the blue wall. Why do they call it the blue wall? It is a brutal win for any Republican in the world to win those 3 states or win one of the 3 states. That's how tough it is. Because the Floridas of the world are no longer a battleground. The Ohios of the world are no longer a battleground. The Iowas of the world, no longer a battleground. Of course, we got the 2 states, Nevada and North Carolina, who are like the enemy and the arch rival for the opposite side, meaning Nevada is always used to be a Republican. The Dems have won by 2%, like for the past 3 elections. It's been a tough nut to crack for the Republicans. They're like, it's right there. They can't get any closer. Same thing with North Carolina. Flip it the other way for the Democrats. They lost by 2% in 16, lost by 1% in 20, and here they go again in 24. Can they win? If they win North Carolina, race is over. And just one more reminder before we get to the polls. In 2020, when Biden won, he took Arizona, flipped Arizona. He flipped Georgia. And of course, he flipped all the blue walls back to the Democrats and won Nevada. Trump needs to win Arizona, needs to win Georgia. I mean, mandatory. Needs to win North Carolina, mandatory. And then has to win one of the blue wall states. Harris, hold blue wall states, win. So simple. So really 3 states this thing comes down to. But but Trump has to sweep all the others. And this is one of the tightest races we've ever seen in the history of polling, without a doubt. Yeah, we've had tight polling. Yeah, there's been some tight moments. There's been a few races that we could always go look back to and say we're tight. But those were almost like that one person had to win all the tight races. This one's different. Each one of these candidates need to win certain states. So let's go through real quick. And I'm actually going to put it up on the screen for you. Let's get this up here for you. Yeah, here it is right here. This is Harris versus Trump. And this takes you current polling to about the beginning of October. Now, most importantly, like we talked about, was where these polls were last time, right? So, and I do have a couple others that popped in late last night and this morning which didn't make this chart, but I'll read them off to you. But let's start at the bottom, right? Rasmussen had Trump at 2. That was the same last time. NPR had Harris at 1 last time, and then had Harris at 2. That's a gain of 1 point for Harris on NPR's poll. Emerson had Harris at 2 and now has Harris at 1. That's a drop of 1 point for Harris. Data for Progress, as we move into the first week in October, had Harris at 4 last month, now has Harris at 3. That's a drop of 1. Not so bad. New York Times had it a tie last month. Now Harris plus 3. A great poll. A great poll for the vice president. Harris plus 3. And that was, let me get you the date on that. That's from about October 1st to October 6th. TIPP had Harris at 3 and still has Harris at 3. Yahoo News had Harris at 5 and now has her at a tie, or has the race as a tie. That is a 5-point swing. Okay, it's a 5-point swing on Yahoo News. Morning Consult had Harris at 5, still has Harris at 5. Reuters had Harris at 6, now has Harris at 2. Okay, as we move deeper into October now, we've got a 4-point swing towards Trump. Okay, that's a Reuters poll. Harris to 6 to Harris now, Harris at 2. Okay, 4-point swing right there. Let's continue on. Rasmussen still has Trump by 2. Remember, that's a right-leaning poll. And Pew Research had it at a tie last month, now has Harris up by 1. So a Harris gain by 1. That's a latest poll we had. Now, we've had 4 polls that came out last night and just right now as it's coming across my desk here. Let's take the 3 polls. I've got a CBS poll, an ABC poll, and an NBC poll. Let's compare the last poll. These are updated to this week. Doesn't mean it's as of today or yesterday, but these are current polls. NBC has it as a tie. What was it? It was a Harris plus 5. That is a Trump gain of 5 points since the last NBC poll. ABC has Harris plus 2. It was a Harris plus 4. Okay, it's a Trump gain of 2 points. So you're starting to see a little trend here. CBS had a Harris plus 3. Is Harris plus 3, and it was Harris plus 4, another Trump gain by 1. So again, Harris still winning by 3, 2, a tie. Let's run down real quick. Harris 1, Trump 2, Harris 2, Harris 5, tie, Harris 3, 3, 3, 1, 2. I mean, we average this out. It comes out to around 1.82 points. But where's the shift? Where's the shift? This is critical. Remember one thing. Hillary won the popular vote, right? Hillary won the popular vote. Biden won the popular vote. Hillary won the popular vote and lost. I've always believed, and for all you guys that have been listening to me on this show forever, I always thought the number had to be 2.5, 2.6, 2.8, 3 in the popular vote. Anything above a 3 is probably a Harris win. You get down to this 1.8, 1.9, and 2. These are dangerous numbers for both sides. These are dangerous numbers on both sides. This is going to tell you if Harris has, because of California and the popular vote in California, and the popular vote in New York, this just tells the massive amount of millions. Don't forget, Trump only polls like 35, 37% in California. So the popular vote's skewed. But most importantly here is that we're looking at about a 1.8 to 2 points right now. Neither party's comfortable with that. That's basically a break even. This can go either way. If that number gets down to 1.5, that's a Trump win. This number gets to 2.7, that's a Harris win. 3 points, Harris win. So I'm going to show you a graph real quick that'll just help you, just show you a little bit of the history. Let's throw this up there. So you can see right here on this graph, for those of you that are looking at the screen, you know, when Biden got out, we're talking about a 4 or 5 point lead, 3, 4, 5 point lead by Trump here, depending on which poll you're looking at. It's squeezed, and Harris took off. Harris is the blue number here, blue line. And you can see it just goes off to from 44% to 49%. I mean, it's a 5-point gain. That's massive in today's world. So you can see the ups and downs and the flats, and now, of course, you can start to see Trump just rallying just a hair. But just remember, even if it's a 0.5 or 1% gain, that is a massive gain with tight markets as we are. Let's get to the battlegrounds. Let's start with Nevada, which, as I just talked about, brutal state for the Republicans. Always a tight battle, just like North Carolina. We'll go North Carolina next, probably. But here's Nevada's numbers. All right, let's. There's a few polls here that didn't have polls before. Atlas has Harris at 3, no poll. American Greatness, Harris +1. GSG, Harris +1. Insider Advantage has Trump +1. It was Trump +1 before. So that's a break even. The Hill had it as a tie last month. Now has Harris +1. That's a good poll for Harris right there in Nevada. Gained a point. Now, of course, the Wall Street Journal throws everything off in Nevada, showing a Trump up by 6. Hasn't done a poll before. In the Wall Street Journal, here's our skew. Here's our skew again. We talk about, right? Our poll that we always talk about. Wall Street Journal comes in and throws a 6 at us. So we say to ourselves, wait a minute, Trump +6, it totally throws the average off. So right now I'm showing an average of Trump being basically up by, less than a 0.5 percentage point, basically a tie. But if that Wall Street Journal poll is maybe +2, well, then we're talking something different, right? We probably have a Harris lead by 1 or 1.5. So that's where we got to examine each poll all the time. So the average shows us that Harris may have a slight lead in Nevada, but Wall Street Journal, is that a more recent poll? Were they accurate? Maybe they are. We're going to continue to watch it. That's why you got to watch this show. Arizona. Let me get Arizona up on the screen for you. Arizona, another state. Don't forget, Democrats won last time. Took it away from Trump from 16. Okay. So Cook Political. Last time was Harris +2. Still Harris +2. Atlas did not do a poll. Has Trump up by 1. USA Today did not do a poll, but has Trump up by 6. I mean, Trump up by 6 in Arizona? Not happening. So USA Today, but again, that's what skews our numbers. GSG did not do a poll, has Harris up by 1. High Ground didn't do a poll, has Harris up by 2. Insider Advantage has Trump up by 1. It's the same, Trump up by 1. Fabrizio didn't have a poll, has Trump up by 2. It's a right-leaning poll, by the way. The Hill had Trump up by 1, now has Trump up by 2. That's a gain of Trump by 1. Wall Street Journal comes out with a Harris +2. Okay. Did not have a poll before. Where does this take us? A Trump half of 1% lead again in Arizona. But again, we have this poll, USA Today this time, with a Trump +6. If that's a Trump +2, we know this is a tie. Or a Harris up by a fraction. Again, another critical swing state that you can see these polling numbers basically being even. Let's go to Georgia. Another state that the Dems won. And remember, not only that, won both Senate seats too. Okay, so again, a state that's skewing more Democrat. Okay, let's look at some numbers in Georgia. We'll take you back to late September. Harris +3. It was Harris +2. That's a gain of Harris +1 there. No poll from CBS before, has Trump up by 2. Atlas, no poll, Trump up by 1. GSG has no poll before. It's now a tie. Quinnipiac, and you guys know how I feel about Quinnipiac. For all you guys who listen to my podcast, you're going to start chuckling about Quinnipiac, because Quinnipiac, Quinnipiac gets rated A+ by many organizations. Now, many of those organizations are left. I have a brutal time with Quinnipiac because, as you guys know, it had Hillary winning in Florida by like 6-7 points. Had Biden crawling up on Trump in Florida and Texas. None of that was even close. So why do we get frustrated with Quinnipiac? Here's another example. Last time, Quinnipiac had Trump +3. Now has Trump +5 in Georgia. +5? That's what? 2-3 points more than anybody. Insider Advantage had it as a tie, still has it as a tie. Wall Street Journal comes out with a brand new poll, Harris +2. Trafalgar, who's a Republican poll, goes from Trump +1 to Trump +1. That's a tie. The Hill, Emerson, Trump +3, down to Trump +1. It's a Harris gain of 2 points. We haven't seen many Harris gains as I read these state polls. But here's one right here. Okay. So as I look at the screen here, it's showing you, Trump with a half of a percentage point gain. Oh, excuse me, in an average. But again, we have that Trump plus 5, right? So what does that take us if we take that 5, make it a 2? Tight. Basically even Steven. Let's go to North Carolina, where the Democrats always have a hard time. Let me pull North Carolina up for you guys. All right. Here's North Carolina. Here, let's see. The first couple don't have any polls before. Atlas has Harris by 3. CNN, who does a decent job with polling, has it as a tie. High Point has it as a tie. East Carolina has Trump plus 2, and that plus 2 was plus 1 before, so that's a Trump gain of 1. GSG has had no poll before. They have Trump plus 1. Quinnipiac, Harris plus 3 last month, and now it's Trump plus 1. That's a 4-point swing. That's a big swing. It's a big swing. Quinnipiac, again, throwing off all the numbers for everybody. Washington Post is now Trump plus 2. No numbers before. Emerson had Trump 1, is Trump 1. Insider Advantage, Trump 1 to Trump 1. Tie there. Wall Street Journal did not do a poll, has it as a tie. The Hill and Emerson was Trump plus 1. It is now Trump plus 1. We're talking about, let's read these numbers. Harris 3, tie, Trump 2, Trump 1, Trump 1, Trump 2, Trump 1, Trump 1, tie, Trump 1. We're looking at the average being Trump under is a half a percentage point win again, or lead in the averages of the polls. As we get to the blue wall, I just read you 4 or 5 states that are basically a half a percentage point. We're talking about turnout. We're talking about is a little more who votes. The Hispanics come out and vote. Is it a little higher or lower black vote? Is a higher or lower white vote? Is a higher or lower women vote? Just this little tick. We're talking maybe 20,000 votes in every state here. We're talking a difference, a little swing either way makes the difference of a whole election for 2024. Let's get to the blue wall. I'm going to pull up Wisconsin for you. All right. So let's start with Wisconsin. Marquette, very good polling. They're in Wisconsin. So Harris plus 4. They were Harris plus 4. Atlas has Trump plus 2. No poll before. New York Times, Harris plus 2. Was a Harris plus 4. It's a gain of Trump by 2. GSG, Harris plus 2. Didn't have a poll before. Trafalgar, Trump 1. Was Trump 1. Quinnipiac goes from a Harris plus 1 to Trump plus 2. 3-point swing by Quinnipiac. Now you can see what Quinnipiac's doing here. Quinnipiac's poll on all their states are hard on Trump. Now remember, this is a left organization. But it's been difficult trying to find the accurate polling for Trump voters. So they play little games, they skew, they take averages, they do a lot of different things. And this is what you could be seeing in Quinnipiac. But that was a 3-point swing to Trump as we move to early to mid-October. The Hill and Emerson has as a tie. That was a Trump plus 1. That's a loss of Trump by 1. Wall Street Journal has it a tie. Insider Advantage has it as a tie and had it as a Harris plus 2. That is a 2-point gain for Trump. Okay. So what does that average out on our sheet? Look at this. Harris, 0.3. Wisconsin has been a tough state for Trump. It seems unusual. You would think that Wisconsin versus Michigan, which are almost impossible to win as Republicans, as we talked about. In Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's got all the Democratic senators, Democratic governor, very difficult to win. And Wisconsin has what? I mean, one inner city, Milwaukee, and then Madison being a younger college town. But other than that, it's kind of a Trump voter demographic. So let's move to Michigan. I'll put Michigan up on the board for you guys. Okay. Bloomberg, Harris +3, no poll before. Trump +4 for Atlas, no poll. New York Times, Harris +1. It was a Harris +4. That's a gain of Trump by 3 in that poll. GSG didn't have a poll before, has Trump up by 2. Trafalgar had it as a tie, Trump +2. You can see a Trump gain of 2 points there. MIRS had it as a tie before. Now it's Trump +1, another Trump gain. Wall Street Journal has Harris up by 2. It's a good poll for the vice president. Quinnipiac. Okay, here we go again. Here are my friends at Quinnipiac. Hey, Quinnipiac, join us on the show. Join us on the show. Try to explain this. Last poll from Quinnipiac. Any guesses? I'm going to well, you can see it up on the screen. Trump +4, it's showing right now. It was Harris +5. Harris +5. It's a 9-point swing. Quinnipiac. I mean, come on. Come on. 9-point swing by Quinnipiac. Who, by the way, is in Connecticut. The Hill, Emerson, has it as a tie. It was a Harris +2. That's a Trump gain of 2 points there. In the latest poll in Michigan, Insider Advantage, they had Trump up by 1. Now it's Trump by 2. So you could see the gains here. You could see the gains in Michigan. You could see the weak spot of the blue wall. You can see Trump not being in Wisconsin as much, can you? But all you hear is Trump in Michigan, Trump in Michigan, Trump in Michigan, Trump in Michigan. And you can look at these numbers, right? Look them up on the screen right here. Now you look at the latest polls: Trump 2, Trump 2, Trump 1, Harris 2, Trump 4, tie, Trump 2. With the momentum going to Trump, this puts Trump basically at a 1-point lead. Now, let's pull Quinnipiac out of that. And we're looking at Trump, less than a 0.5% point, but leading. Pennsylvania, the final blue wall state. Let's pull that up for you. All right, everybody, here we go. And I did get a poll today, actually. I'll pull that up right now. Okay. Bloomberg, Harris +5 with no poll before. Fox News, who does a good polling, even though you love him or hate him, just like CNN, had it as a tie before. It is a tie now. Atlas did not do a poll before, has Trump up by 3. GSG, no poll before, has it as a tie. Trafalgar had Trump up by 2. Now has Trump up by 3. It's a Trump gain by 1. Let's go to Quinnipiac. Harris by 5 before. Now Harris +2. It's a gain of Trump for 3 points. Quinnipiac. Insider Advantage had Trump up by 2. Still has Trump up by 2. The Hill had as a tie. Now has Trump up by 1. American Greatness has Trump up by 1. No poll before. Wall Street Journal, Trump up by 1. No poll before. Rasmussen just came out. Right-leaning poll. Had it as a tie before, is now Trump +3. That's a Trump gain of 3. So let's read the last, 12 polls here? Tie. Trump up by 3. Tie. Trump up by 3. Harris by 2. Trump 2. Trump 1. Trump 1. Trump 1. Trump 3. In Pennsylvania. So we know where we were before, and we know where we are approximately about 3-4 days ago with some of these polls, and we could kind of see a Trump movement. I think it's totally natural, because I've always said it on this podcast. It's never easy to be any candidate because no one likes any candidate. It doesn't matter. It's not like the old days where Kennedy, they hid behind this and hid behind that. No one knew really what was going on in the White House. With social media today, no one can get away with anybody. Everybody's critiqued from one side to the other. It doesn't matter who you are. So it's not easy. So when you're a candidate and people start to see you, your negatives rise. I mean, Trump's maxed out on his negatives, right? Everybody knows what you get. But with Harris, hey, she had a honeymoon. The press, of course, jumped on her in a good way, started critiquing slightly, and of course is going to create some negatives. And the Trump campaign now is switched and has gotten their groove back. And Harris now has to get her groove back. And of course, going after the black young voters, going out on podcasts now herself, getting out there a little bit more and changing some narratives around. She's talking about the economy. She's trying to separate herself from Biden. Of course, Trump's trying to put her together with Biden. So this is where we are. We're talking about a race that's never happened before. I mean, we're talking a 0.5 percentage point in 7 battleground states. And the national race teetering somewhere between 1.8 and 2.x. Okay, 2.2. That's a tie race. That's a tie race. So listen, tomorrow, I'm going to get the 270 map out, the electoral map. We're going to plug all these numbers in. We're going to take 2016 numbers. We'll show what happened in 16. I'll show you what happened in 20. And then we'll take 20's numbers and flip it into 24, and we'll go through different scenarios. Hey, what happens if Harris wins this? What happens if Harris wins Nevada? What happens if Trump wins XYZ? And we'll take you through, and we'll see who needs to win what. And that's going to be very interesting going through that. I'm sorry for all the numbers today. That rattles you off what's happened basically in the last, the last little bit here, the last 14 days of polling. And it's been heavy. In case you're caught up, tomorrow we start our new, I'll give you all the new polls that pop up tomorrow or maybe even late tonight. We'll go through the map. We'll go through the Senate probably on the next day because, wow. Don't forget, we've got the House up for election. We've got the Senate up for election. We got the presidential election. So the whole balance is teetering, and the Senate's hanging on 2 or 3 races also. So listen, it's great to be back. I love you all. I miss you all. Throw the comments in. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. We'll be back on YouTube tomorrow. So listen, guys, we'll chat soon. Love you, and be good, everybody. Be safe.